get this. You want to decode human behavior, like really want to get in there.
Okay.
And you went straight for frogs into princes. You jumped in the deep end. That's like NLP boot camp right there.
You're not wrong. It's a fascinating model, that's for sure. And yeah, the book, it doesn't mess around. It gets right to the heart of it.
Okay, so one thing that really struck me early on, like right off the bat, was how much it focuses on sensory experience. It's like, forget abstract thoughts, right? NLP is all about what we see, hear, and feel. It's all about the senses.
Exactly, yeah. Bandler and Grinder, they were all about that. They believe that our senses are like the foundation of how we understand the world, how we interact with the world. Think about it.
Yeah.
Every experience, everything gets filtered through our senses, right? Through that sensory input.
It's like our senses are like the raw data, right?
Yeah.
And our brains are creating our reality based on that raw data.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, take that idea, hold that thought, and take it a step further. You're already familiar with visual, auditory, kinesthetic learners, right?
Right.
NLP, it calls these representational systems. And the idea is that people, they tend to favor one over the others. Like when they're processing information, they might be more visual or more auditory.
Okay, so you're telling me I can decode someone's communication style just by listening carefully.
It's possible, yeah.
Whoa, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So if someone says they see what I'm saying, they might be like a visual person, and someone who needs to like talk it through.
Yeah.
They could be more auditory.
You got it. Yeah, you're picking it up. Paying attention to the language people use, especially verbs, adverbs, adjectives, it can give you clues about their dominant representational system.
Okay, so let's say I figure out someone's dominant system, right?
Yeah.
What's the advantage? Like, how does that help me actually communicate with them better?
Think about it this way. Have you ever tried to explain a complex idea to someone and it just wasn't clicking?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, it's like talking to a brick wall sometimes.
Well, what if they were just processing that information through a different sensory system,
right,
than the one you were using to explain it?
Yeah.
By understanding someone's preferred representational system, you can tailor your communication to match their internal world. Yeah.
So instead of just like throwing words at them, I'm speaking their language.
There you go.
Like literally and figuratively. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly, yeah. For example, if someone is highly visual, using vivid imagery, using metaphors in your communication, it might resonate with them more effectively than a purely auditory or kinesthetic approach.
Right. It's like painting a picture in their mind rather than just telling them a story. Right? This is already making me rethink how I communicate. Now, the book also mentions that even eye movements can be clues to a person's internal representations.
Yeah.
I have to admit, when I first read that, I was like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, it's one of the more debated aspects of NLP for sure.
Right.
But think about it. Our physiology, our thought processes, they're deeply interconnected.
Yeah.
Even if we're not, consciously aware of it.
So it's not that our eyes are just darting around randomly. There's actually a pattern there.
Could be, yeah.
That's linked to what we're thinking about.
Right. And while it's not, an exact science, NLP practitioners, they believe that observing these patterns, these eye accessing cues, can offer some additional insights into how someone is processing information.
Okay, so for example, the book suggests that like looking up and to the left can indicate that someone is accessing a visual memory.
That's the idea.
Fascinating. So someone telling you about their last vacation might glance up and to the left as they're picturing like the beach or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas looking down and to the right might suggest that they're engaged in internal dialogue, that little voice in their head,
right,
talking them through something.
So if I ask a question and it's, it requires someone to really think about it, they look down and to the right, that could be a sign that they're really trying to process it.
It's a possibility.
It's like I'm getting a glimpse into their thought process.
Exactly. And while these are, their tendencies, they're not hard and fast rules, becoming more aware of them can enhance your ability to to understand and connect with others on a deeper level.
That's like having like X-ray vision into someone's mind.
Yeah.
Now, Frogs into Princes, it goes beyond just, observing these patterns.
Yeah.
It talks about some pretty mind-blowing techniques for actually changing behavior, changing thought patterns.
Right.
Like really getting in there.
Yeah, that's where the real magic of NLP comes in. It's not just about understanding how our minds work. It's about having tools.
Yeah.
Practical tools for creating change, positive change.
And one of the most like intriguing tools in the NLP toolbox is this concept of strategies.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Well, think of a strategy as a sequence of internal representations, like steps in a process that we use to achieve a particular outcome. Let's say your goal is to decide what to have for dinner, right?
Anyway.
Your strategy might involve, first picturing different meal options in your head.
Right.
Then maybe hearing yourself list the pros and cons of each one, and then finally like tuning into your gut feeling about each choice.
That's like a three-step process.
Yeah.
Visualize it, verbalize it, then feel it.
Exactly. And by analyzing someone's strategy for a specific behavior or thought pattern, you can gain some real insights into how they operate.
So instead of just seeing like the end result, like, oh, they chose this restaurant, you're actually like reverse engineering the process.
Right.
That led to that. It's like having a blueprint for how their mind works.
And here's where it gets really interesting. NLP suggests that these strategies, they're not set in stone. They can be modified or streamlined to be more effective.
Okay, so you're saying we can actually like upgrade our mental software.
That's the idea, yeah.
That's wild. So if someone's like decision-making strategy is bogged down with a lot of like negative self-talk,
right,
that element could be identified and potentially like changed, rewritten.
Precisely. It's like optimizing a computer program for better performance.
Yeah.
By removing unnecessary steps, by limiting beliefs, we can create these more efficient, more empowering strategies for anything from decision making to building relationships to achieving goals.
Which brings us to another like mind-blowing technique from Frogs into Princes.
Yeah.
Anchoring.
Yeah, anchoring. Powerful stuff.
I've heard this term thrown around.
Yeah.
But the book, it really like dives deep.
It does, yeah.
Into like what it is and how it works.
Imagine having a trigger, like a touch or a word.
Okay.
That instantly brings up a feeling or a state.
Okay.
That's anchoring in a nutshell.
Okay, so it's like a mental shortcut.
Yeah, you could say that.
To access a desired state on demand.
Yeah.
Like confidence or calm or focus.
Exactly. And the book, it gives this great example. It talks about Linda, who, she struggled with being assertive in certain situations. Yeah. And so by helping her identify a time when she felt, really confident,
right,
and then anchoring that state to a specific touch, they gave her a tool.
Okay.
To access that feeling whenever she needed it.
So in those moments when she felt herself like, getting walked over, whatever, she could just use that anchor, that touch.
I know. To
instantly like tap back into
right into it.
That confidence.
Precisely.
Wow.
And the beauty of anchoring is that it's not just about, creating new anchors. NLP also explores how to break or collapse existing anchors. Yeah. That might be triggering, unwanted states like anxiety or fear.
So it's like you're rewiring your brain's associations.
Yeah, it's like,
to create more like positive and empowering like responses to things.
Exactly.
Now, if anchoring is rewiring, then changing personal history feels like full-on mental time travel.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the idea of like revisiting a past experience,
right,
and changing your emotional response to it.
Yeah.
That sounds like science fiction.
It does have a bit of a Back to the Future vibe to it, doesn't it? But the basic idea is this: we don't experience the past directly, right? What we experience are our memories. And our interpretations of those events. So
it's not about like erasing what happened,
right?
But rather like changing the way we feel about it.
Yeah.
The meaning that we've attached to it.
Exactly. Let's say you have a memory of giving a presentation and it went terribly wrong.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling.
And it's still, every time you think about it, fills you with anxiety.
Yep.
Changing personal history wouldn't erase that memory,
Right.
but it could allow you to revisit that event while anchored to a state of, calm or confidence.
Okay.
Effectively, creating a new experience of that memory.
So it's like going back in time and giving your past self a pep talk.
Yeah.
And a high five.
Exactly.
Incredible. Now, another technique that I find fascinating is reframing.
Reframing.
What I love about this one is it seems to be less about like directly changing the behavior.
Yeah.
And more about like shifting your perspective on it.
Yeah, reframing is all about finding the positive intention behind a behavior that seems negative.
Right. It's like that old saying, every behavior is an attempt to meet a need.
Right. Exactly. So instead of just, labeling a behavior as bad or wrong, reframing helps us understand, like, what's the underlying need that this behavior is trying to fulfill, often, on an unconscious level.
Right. Like the book uses the example of a woman who struggles with overeating.
Right.
And through reframing, they discover that the overeating was serving like a protective function in her marriage.
Interesting. She believed that being overweight kept like unwanted male attention away, which she didn't feel equipped to handle.
Right. So in her mind, the overeating wasn't the problem.
Right.
It was the solution.
Right.
To this deeper concern about feeling safe and secure.
Exactly. That's a completely different way of looking at it.
It is, yeah.
And once that underlying need is like acknowledged and addressed in a healthier way, the overeating or whatever the unwanted behavior is,
yeah,
it often just diminishes or disappears on its own.
Yeah, it's about addressing the root cause,
right?
Not just the symptom.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, but how do you actually reframe something? Like, that seems like it would take a lot of self-awareness, maybe even like some outside guidance to kind of.
It can be tricky, yeah.
Yeah, it can be tricky. One technique involves like literally communicating with the part of you that's responsible for the behavior, like it was a separate entity.
So it's like having a heart-to-heart.
Yeah.
With your inner saboteur.
Exactly.
Or your inner critic.
Exactly. It's about understanding its positive intention, even if the behavior itself isn't really serving you well. Once you've established that communication, then you can start to explore, alternative ways to meet that same need.
Okay.
But in a more constructive, more empowering way.
So it's like negotiating a win-win agreement.
Yeah, yeah.
With a part of yourself, you're not trying to eliminate it.
Right.
You're trying to like work with it.
Exactly.
This is blowing my mind. Now, throughout Frogs into Princess Bandler and Grinder, they really emphasize this idea of sensory acuity and calibration.
Yeah.
It seems like this is a core skill for anyone who wants to like really apply NLP effectively.
Absolutely. Think of calibration as fine-tuning your senses to pick up on those really subtle cues.
Oh, yeah.
The often unconscious cues that can reveal what's going on inside someone's mind. It's about paying attention to those nonverbal signals, like changes in breathing, skin tone, muscle tension.
So it's like becoming a detective of human behavior.
Yeah.
But instead of looking for clues at a crime scene, you're looking for like those micro expressions,
right,
and subtle shifts in body language that can tell you something about someone's internal state.
And while most people they completely miss those subtle cues, NLP practitioners, they train themselves to become really, really attuned to them.
Okay, so let's say I'm getting good at this. I'm getting good at calibration. What's the payoff? Like how does this help me actually communicate better?
Well, have you ever noticed how someone's words might be saying one thing,
yeah,
but their body language is screaming something completely different?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
It's like when someone says like, "Oh, I'm fine."
Right.
But their tone and their posture, it's like no, you're not fine.
Exactly. By learning to calibrate, you can start to see beyond the surface.
Okay.
Beyond just the words and get a more accurate read on what someone is truly thinking or feeling.
That's incredibly valuable because if I can if I can sense that someone is uncomfortable or resistant to what I'm saying, even if they're not coming right out and saying it,
Yeah, yeah.
then I can adjust my communication accordingly.
Yeah. Calibration, it helps you tailor your communication to the other person's internal landscape,
Right.
creating a deeper sense of connection and understanding.
And that's where the real magic happens,
It
right?
really is,
When
yeah.
you can bridge that gap between what's being said and what's being felt.
Exactly. And that actually brings us to another powerful aspect of NLP.
Okay.
The use of metaphor and storytelling.
Oh, I love a good story.
Yeah.
How does that fit into the NLP framework?
Well, think about it. Stories, they have this unique ability to kind of bypass our conscious resistance and speak directly to our unconscious minds.
Okay.
They engage our emotions, they spark our imaginations, and they allow us to process information in a way that feels safe and non-threatening.
It's like sneaking in the back door of the mind rather
Yes.
than trying to kick down the front gate.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
because NLP recognizes that so much of our behavior, our decision making, it happens on that unconscious level. Metaphors and stories, they become these incredibly powerful tools
Yeah.
for creating change.
That makes a lot of sense. If you can present an idea or a desired outcome within the context of a story,
Right.
that's compelling. It's more likely to really resonate
For sure.
on that deeper level. It's like planting a seed in the fertile ground of
Yes.
of the unconscious.
Beautifully said.
Speaking of the unconscious, one of the most radical ideas in Frogs into Princes is this notion that our perceptions, our experiences are essentially subjective constructions.
Yeah.
It's like saying there's no one objective reality.
Right.
We're all creating our own versions of it.
Exactly. And while that might sound like, something out of the Matrix,
Right.
it also opens up some really incredible possibilities
Right.
for personal transformation because if we accept that our realities are subjective, then we also have to accept that we have the power to change them.
It's empowering. It means we're not just passive recipients of whatever life throws at us. We have agency. We have choice. We can actually shape our experiences by changing the way we perceive and interpret the world around us.
Exactly. And NLP, it gives us a set of tools and techniques to do just that. You
Yeah.
know, it's about understanding the structure of our subjective experience and then
Okay.
using that understanding to create positive change, lasting change.
Frogs into Prince is full of these really intriguing examples of how this plays out in real life. Like
Yeah.
the story of Tammy who had this really, really severe phobia of bridges.
Yeah. Yeah, that story is a great example of how NLP can really help with phobias, with anxiety related issues by helping people to access those resourceful states and to reframe those experiences.
And it worked. They used a combination of anchoring and changing personal history
Yeah.
to help her to create this new, more empowering experience
Right.
of driving over a bridge, and she was able to overcome her phobia.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about NLP. It's not just theoretical.
Yeah.
It offers these really practical tools that can create these really rapid and profound shifts in how we think, how we feel, how we behave.
As we've been unpacking all of these NLP principles and techniques, it's clear that this is powerful stuff.
It is.
But it also seems like it requires a certain level of skill and ethical responsibility to use it effectively and
Right.
ethically.
Absolutely. And while Frogs into Princes doesn't really dive deep into those ethical considerations, it's essential, I think, for anyone exploring NLP to remember that these are powerful tools, and they should always be used with respect, with integrity,
Right.
and with a focus on empowering others.
So it's not about manipulation or coercion.
No.
It's about helping people to access their own their own inner resources and create the changes that they want in their lives.
Precisely. And that's the beauty of it, you know. It's not about imposing your will on someone else. It's about facilitating that self-discovery, that empowerment and ultimately unlocking that human potential.
Well, there you have it. We've journeyed through the core principles of NLP, exploring everything from sensory experience and representational systems to anchoring and reframing and the power of the unconscious mind.
We've seen how these concepts can be applied to really enhance the way we communicate, to overcome those limiting beliefs, and even to reshape our experience of the past.
Frogs into Princes.
Yeah.
It's a dense book.
It is, yeah.
It's a challenging read.
It can be, yeah.
But it offers this really fascinating glimpse into the transformative potential of NLP.
Absolutely. And as you continue to explore these ideas, just remember that the most profound journeys, they often begin with a single step, with a willingness to question those assumptions and a commitment to unlocking those unlimited possibilities that lie within each of us.
So to our listener out there, we encourage you to dive deeper, experiment with these techniques and see what transformations unfold in your own life. After all, as Frogs into Princes suggests, we all have the potential to become the heroes and the heroines of our own extraordinary stories.